I'm State Representative Susan Sharice, and I proudly serve District 23, which consists of the cities of Lenexa, Overland Park, and Shawnee. You know, last session we left a lot of meaningful bills on the table, which makes this election year so important for so many people. We must elect more Democrats in order to pass Medicaid expansion, invest in our schools, bring about criminal justice reform, ensure equality for all Kansas, improve access to mental health services, provide early childhood education, and pass medical marijuana. It will take all of us doing this all together. Let's get this done.
And I am a former public school superintendent with over 4 decades of education experience. And I'm running for District 26 for the same reason I became a public school teacher, an administrator, and a university professor. We need to ensure that every child has a world-class education, regardless of where they live or who they are. Dr. Martin Luther King stated, "There's a fierce urgency of now." And our urgency of now is the 2020 election. It is now that we stand together for the revival of the very soul of our country and of Kansas. Our urgency is such that now is not the time to remain silent. Our legislature has for too long created winners and losers, and it's the teachers and the students of Kansas that have been the losers. For too long, we have seen the erosion of the middle class with a tax shift to benefit a few wealthy donors, resulting in increased property and sales tax for the rest of Kansas. For too long, the leadership's antics have corrupted the democratic process to benefit only those who paid for their election and not Kansas. The urgency of ending voter suppression and to have fair reapportionment rather than gerrymandered district is now. For too long, the legislative leadership has held hostage the needs and rights of Kansans to a right-wing agenda. The urgency of expanded Medicaid is now. For too long, we have seen the loss of integrity and representation in the legislative process. The urgency is for enhanced citizen participation now. My name is Dr. Michael Schimmel, and I'm running to work with our governor and fellow Democrats to restore integrity, accountability, and representation in our legislature. That is our urgency of now. And as of this moment, we have only 73 days or 1,734 hours to meet that challenge. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Cole Fine. I was told to keep this to strictly 2 minutes. As someone who could easily ramble about a speck of dust for like 2 hours, this is quite a feat. I am running in House District 15 over here in Olathe. I have lived in Johnson County for 22 years, which also happens to be the same amount of years I have been alive. So over here in downtown Olathe, District 15 is poised to flip. It was only lost by 200 votes in 2018. The demographic and voter base has only gotten stronger. And I'm operating with a healthy budget with lots of volunteers, and I'm going to continue to work tirelessly to hit ambitious goals. A little bit about myself. I am a recent college graduate. I have a background in some legislative advocacy as well as some nonpartisan voter and civic engagement. My number one priority is not to eradicate the Republican Party or to find every uncovered flaw in my opponent, but rather I am really focused on my neighbors and every Kansan in the state. My priority is to find ways to properly fund our public schools, expand Medicaid, reform mental health in the state, as well as monitor taxes that are affecting those who don't have a lot of discretionary funding. I genuinely have no other agenda other than making Kansas a better place for you, for me, and for one day my kids. Thank you.
everyone. My name is Reese Shu. I'm state representative at House District 25. This is Astra. I'm sure you all know her. Mostly, I just want to take my time, since I wasn't able to attend last year's gala due to a wedding, to thank all of you for all the amazing support that you gave me in 2018 in what was a pretty weird race for me. I also wanted to thank all of you for continuing to support the county party and just this incredible group of candidates that you're going to hear from the rest of tonight. I often tell people in my district that we, meaning my district, but also Johnson County as a whole, need to be the progressive leaders for the state. It's rare in Kansas to get that combination of demographics, means, and heart. And under the guidance of Nancy, Greg, and all the amazing organizers of this event and the county in general over the years, we definitely have that here now. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to flip a bunch of seats in November, expand our reach into the exurbs of Johnson County and even maybe some of the more rural parts of Johnson County as well, and continue to show people what public church service really means and a dedication to making lives better, because that's ultimately what the Democratic Party stands for.
Hi, everyone. It's State Representative Brandon Woodard. I'm so bummed that we're not all meeting in person, but I can't believe that they made it possible for us to gather virtually. In 2018, because of the work and the support of the Johnson County Democrats, we made history by sending Susan Ruiz and myself to Topeka to be the first openly LGBT voices in the Kansas legislature. This year, we're running on issues just like everyone else that you're hearing from. Working to make healthcare both affordable and accessible by expanding Medicaid to more than 150,000 Kansans. It's not only the right thing to do and common sense in a pandemic, but it's the Kansan and just general humane thing to do. We've got to work to fully fund our public schools and protect the funding to make sure that our next generation of kiddos have the foundation they need to succeed. And we also have to make sure that college is affordable for everyone. So if they want to go to a four-year university, their community college, or a career and technical education program, they have the ability to do so without saddling an entire generation with tens of thousands of dollars worth of debt. And we also have to make all mean all in Kansas. Just this week, the Kansas Human Rights Commission ruled that sexual orientation and gender identity are protected classes in the Kansas Act Against Discrimination, which is incredibly exciting. But we must ensure that we put that into law. Family Policy Alliance and other hate groups are already attacking this and working to undermine the progress that we've made. So with your help and the support that you're showing to our Johnson County Democrats, we're going to be able to turn Johnson County blue. So tonight is about celebrating our successes and our wins, but tomorrow is about getting to work for the 72 days ahead before the general election. Thanks for what you're doing. Thanks for your investment and your time, and let's go win.
Hoskin, running for the Kansas House in District 20, covering parts of Leawood and Overland Park. You know, tonight I'm going to talk about the home that I found in the Kansas Democratic Party more so than my campaign. If you'd like information about that, go to poskin4ks.com. I attended my first Free State Gala in 2017 as a 35-year Republican, the guest of a Democratic campaign that I had joined because my Republican congressman had voted against my interests one too many times. I walked in arm in arm with my new friend Puffy Flood and met the former vice presidential candidate Tim Kaine. Here's my selfie to prove it. Now, Puffy will get you in all kinds of good trouble if you let her, and I did. I just kept saying yes to all the things, showing up, and what was consistent is that I showed up and there was a ton of Democrats fighting for Kansans, and they were kind to me and accepting of me, this Republican. I continued to work on more Democratic campaigns from Sharice Davids, Laura Kelly, Janae Hanslick, and countless city council people. I became challenged by a Republican to say, what are you doing? Read the Kansas platform and tell me what you think. So I read it and it made me cry. I knew I no longer had a home in that party. So in fairness, I read the Kansas Democratic platform and knew what I knew all along, that you guys were my people. So fast forward 3 years from that 2017 gala, and I did switch parties with the very good company, the likes of Barbara Bollier, Senator Sykes, Stephanie Sawyer Clayton, and my good friend and mentor, Joy Costin. I'm running to move Kansas forward, to keep our schools fully funded, to keep our communities healthy and strong, and to let our Kansas economy be restored from this pandemic. You know what else? We have a new vice presidential candidate, and she looks like Puffy and I. I couldn't be more proud to stand with my fellow Democrats. Thank you for welcoming me and being my people. I'm Mary Lynn Poskin. I'm running for the Kansas House in District 20.
Hey, good afternoon or evening, and thank you for being here. This is my second Democratic Gala, and I am so glad to be here. I wish I was with all of you to give you a big hug, but safety first. Thank you for supporting Democrats and for voting. You know, overcoming today's challenges demands responsible leaders who will follow the facts and serve people first, and I am honored to be with a great slate of candidates who are running from Johnson County. I don't think I introduced myself. I'm Senator Dinah Sykes. I am running for re-election. I am the only current senator representing all of Johnson County on the ballot. So I just encourage you to get out, support all of these wonderful candidates, donate, get the word out. Let's make change and put responsible leaders to be allies for Governor Kelly in the legislature. So thank you for being here. Thank you for being a wonderful supporter, and have fun. And next year, hopefully we can all be together and celebrate an amazing 2020 election. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name's Zach Thomas. I'm running to be your next Johnson County District Attorney. I'm the son of Zach and Mary Thomas, immigrants from India who settled here in Johnson County. As they raised me, they stressed values like compassion, leadership, education, and simply doing the right thing. I'm running to be your next Johnson County District Attorney because of those very values. I could not sit back anymore and watch a DA's office that had no accountability, that had no transparency, that used unjust prosecution, and that was simply losing more of your money, and more importantly, losing trials. Just last year, the DA's office lost more trials than they ever have before. With me as a candidate, I'm bringing someone who's going to be responsible, who's going to hold themselves accountable, who brings a tried and true, successful and respected trial practice to the courts. The platform involves just prosecution, things like mental health court and drug court. We can't cure addiction, we can't cure mental health issues, but we can address it, spotlight it, and not continue to punish these individuals for their underlying issues. I'm going to readdress the juvenile system and allow our kids to be kids. We'll give back the power to the schools, to the teachers, to address certain issues that they want to handle internally instead of creating a school to prison pipeline. All of these platforms, all of these issues add not only money, but time to the prosecutors and law enforcement so that they can focus on things that matter, crimes that truly affect you. I'm Zach Thomas. I'm running to be your next Johnson County District Attorney, and I ask for your support in November. You can visit our website at thomas4da.com. Thank you all very much and have a great evening.
Hi, I'm Les Lampe. I'm running in District 39, which is Western Shawnee, and excited to do so. My history in getting engaged was just like a lot of us 4 years ago in terms of what happened. We were in the Brownback regime, and we had a change at the top in the presidential election. At that point in time, some friends and my spouse and I got very engaged in the political arena, supporting candidates, Sharice and then later Laura, and a variety of good Democrats up and down the various options available. Also, too, I became involved in a group called Kansas Interfaith Action, doing advocacy work in Topeka, and we were very engaged in passing the non-discrimination ordinance in Shawnee to expand to sexual orientation and gender identity. This past week, listening to the Democrat convention, I was struck by the fact when Joe Biden and Kamala Harris were both emphasizing the difference between light and darkness. And we're in a period of darkness nationally. And Laura is bringing out of the darkness here in Kansas away from Brownback. But we have the COVID epidemic going on, and we need to move forward in terms of a variety of fronts to expand opportunities for all Kansans. Healthcare, education, equality in all different arenas. It's up to us to make that happen. And my motivation in running for the House is to be that vote that gets rid of the override of the vetoes for Laura Kelly. And collectively, if we're all there, we have a much stronger voice that we can mount in Topeka. I want to represent the people that need help, not those at the top that are getting plenty of help anyway. So I'm looking forward to that opportunity. I'm energized and engaged, and I've been very excited to meet all of you, sometimes in person and many times by Zoom as we're going through this process. So I'm looking forward to working with you and joining you in Topeka. Again, I'm Les Lampe, running in District 39. Thank you.
Hi there, I'm State Representative Cindy Holshirt. So nice to see everybody tonight. Wanted to let you know that I am running for State Senate, as most of you probably are aware, and things have been going great. So we knocked out Jim Denning earlier this spring and onward to the general, where we have a former Brownback ally. So I want to thank everybody for all of your support over the years as I've been representative and now running for Senate. Appreciate all of you and wish we could see each other in person, but that time will come. So onward, and let's go ahead and bring it home. Have a good one.
Hi, my name is Sherry Grogan, and I'm running for Kansas House District 38, which includes Basler, Linwood, DeSoto, and Gardner Lake. My priorities are the economy, internet access, healthcare, education, and making Kansas welcoming for all. Other issues that I care about are the environment, public safety, and making Kansas welcoming for all. I'm committed to listen, do the best I can to represent my district, respond promptly to requests for assistance, and provide regular updates to keep everyone informed. And I will work together in a bipartisan manner for the common good of Kansans. Any help you can provide by volunteering or making a financial donation is greatly appreciated. My website is Grogan for Kansas. Thank you for joining the event tonight.
Hi, I'm Linda Featherston. I'm running for the Kansas House of Representatives in District 16. We're the area right around Johnson County. We're the home to Oak Park Mall, and we're home to parts of the Blue Valley, Shawnee Mission, and Olathe school districts. We are the education district. I'm a lifelong Kansan. I grew up in Topeka, and I'm proud to be the daughter of retired KDOT state employees. I sent my kids to Kansas public schools, and God willing, we're going to have 2 graduates from Kansas colleges this year. I'm a piano teacher, which makes me both a teacher and a small business owner. And as a piano teacher, I work with kids in private, public, and homeschool settings, and they have all benefited in different ways from our public school safety net. And that is my #1 priority, is keeping that safety net for every child in Kansas, no matter what school setting their family chooses is best for them. I appreciate everything you all are doing to get Democrats elected. I don't have the privilege of sitting idly by and not running, and none of us have the privilege of being idle this year. And I just so appreciate everybody stepping forward to get all these great candidates elected. I'm Linda Featherston. You can find me online at lindaforkansas.com. Thank you so much.
"2020 has shown us what persistence really means. Keep going no matter what. We know that our votes have power. We know that our children are relying on us to be engaged. Find what motivates you to pick up the phone for candidates and help us stand up for Kansans on November 3rd. Good evening. I'm Joella Hoy, the Democratic candidate for Kansas House District 17. I'm a public servant, community volunteer, advocate, and leader fighting for a safe and equitable pandemic response, education funding that provides the best public schools for all Kansas kids, access to affordable health care and protections for pre-existing conditions, and sensible gun laws that save lives. I have seen firsthand what can be accomplished when moms make their voices heard in Topeka. I am running for the Kansas House of Representatives to elevate the voices of Kansans and to keep fighting for the health and safety of our families. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Joy Costin. I'm Senate candidate for District 11 here in Leawood and Overland Park. I'm really grateful to be part of this amazing blue wave that's moving across the Johnson County area. I'm also an educator who's taught in higher education for over 20 years and grateful to be part of a party that values science, diversity, and hope. An election year like none other, this is certainly one in which COVID, misinformation, and a divided community is framing the way that we talk about how we want to lead. Finding that sweet spot of messaging to carve the electorate in our favor is something we are all grappling with. That said, we have an amazingly strong campaign. We've exceeded every fundraising goal, and we are ready for a fight. It's actually a rematch, if you will. I refuse to yield this Senate seat to the likes of Kelly Warren. We have over 300 volunteers helping us in dozens of ways. We have a strong team working every day to make sure that we win in November. I know every candidate that's here tonight is doing the exact same thing, so I hope that you'll join all of us. Our campaign website is joycostin.com if you want to volunteer or contribute. Let's all work hard over the next 2 months, and let's win big in November.
Hi, I'm Melanie Haas, and I'm running for the District 2 seat on the Kansas Board of Education. The news moves fast these days, and there's a lot going on, but if you think all the way back to last month, you might remember Governor Laura Kelly issuing an executive order to delay school openings until after Labor Day. All 5 of our local school districts, including Shawnee Mission and Blue Valley, sent letters to the State Board of Education in support of the governor's decision. Our schools needed this time to prepare for the unprecedented task of educating in the age of coronavirus. But still, our representative on the state board voted to veto the governor's order. Our community values public education. We value safe schools, great teachers, and modern, effective learning for Kansas kids. Our community deserves a representative on the State Board of Education who will focus on these things to make sure that we provide our students with a world-class education. I haven't seen that happen from our local representative here in District 2, so I'm running to make it happen. My opponent, Benjamin Hodge, is a far-right conservative who has already done damage as a member of the Kansas House and on the Johnson County Community College Board of Trustees. He has a proven track record, and we all know he will be bad for kids, bad for teachers, and bad for all Kansans who rely on public school. And that's all of us. As a mom, this is personal to me. I have 2 girls who are currently in the Shawnee Mission School District, and my family is deeply invested in the success of our schools. Also, as a local business owner, entrepreneur, and corporate executive, this is critical to me. To have a qualified workforce and a thriving economy, we need great schools to attract teacher talent and educate future employees. As a member of our State Board of Education, I will stand for our community as a voice that values public education and one who will do what's right for the future of Kansas kids. Guys, this is a down ballot race, but it's one of the biggest on the ticket. We have more than 300,000 people in District 2. And so we need your help reaching them before November. Whatever resources you are able to give, whether it's your time or your money, we will put them to good use. To donate and learn more about me, please visit melanieforschools.com or come find us on Facebook. Thank you and have a lovely evening.
Kathy, so I believe, so just go ahead and try talking again.
Sally Jersha. I'm an engineer and a civic volunteer from District 28 in South Leawood and Overland Park. I got into this race over a year ago and have worked relentlessly to build a campaign to deliver this seat in November. We are using both hard work and smart work to ensure we turn out a coalition of voters from both parties to support Democratic seats up and down the ballot. I am getting quite a few phone calls since we started dropping campaign literature. And most voters ask, what party are you with? And the near unanimous exclamation of, oh, thank goodness, after I tell them I'm a proud Democrat, lets me know we are meeting the right people. My neighbors value their small businesses, our world-class schools, and want their pre-existing conditions covered. They want to use the best advice from medical professionals to keep their businesses open, restore consumer confidence, and get their students back to school. We are keenly aware of the redistricting that will take place next year, and will use these next 10 weeks to protect the next 10 years of public health and safety, infrastructure investment, and public school funding, including the extracurricular activities that make our children so well-rounded. I'm Sally Jersha, and I'll be the first District 28 Democratic State Representative headed to Topeka to represent both my community's priorities and its values.
Okay. Hi, my name's Kathy Meyer. I'm running to represent House District 78, which is currently held by the Speaker of the House. As a lifelong Kansan, I have watched the legislature through good years and not so good years. The past couple of years have been led by a governor that understands the needs of Kansans. My opponent neither understands nor represents the people of House District 78 and isn't willing to work in a bipartisan manner. I am a public school educator who recently retired after 38 years as an elementary teacher. 36 of those were in the Olathe School District. During the last 5 years, I have led the Olathe NEA as president. That's the teachers union in Olathe. Having been elected to that position, I worked to represent the educators and collaboratively work with the school district to solve issues and present solutions that everyone could agree upon. That is what I'd like to do when elected to represent voters in House District 78. Work collaboratively with others and present solutions that help them and all Kansans. As you can guess, public education is near and dear to my heart. All students deserve an excellent education, and that will help them be the educated future leaders for our state. Kansans also need to have health care available, and that's why I am for expanding Medicaid and being sure that the over 150,000 uninsured will be able to possibly prevent health issues that cost all of us more money without Medicaid expansion. Good governance includes the need to be transparent in the work being done, the votes taken, and responding to the citizens. As I've mentioned before, working together to make Kansas a great place to live is my goal. My name is Kathy Meyer, and I am the best candidate for House District 78. Thank you.
Hi guys, I'm Angela Justice Schweller and I'm running for Kansas House here in District 14. This area is a section of Olathe and Lenexa that runs along the K-10 highway. And I used to be on the Olathe side, now I'm on the Lenexa side, so I'm getting a good feel for the whole district. I decided to run in 2018 for the first time because as a lifelong Kansan that grew up in this area attending the Shawnee Mission schools, I was sick and tired of having a representative that didn't understand the investment in our public schools, nor was that person, that representative, listening to the constituents that they were representing. I decided to run in 2018. I came real close because I ended up I ended up coming within 175 votes of winning. And so that's why I decided to give it another go, because it was very apparent that we needed new representation here and that the people were listening. As I mentioned, I grew up in the area. I decided to raise my kids here. They attend the Olathe Public Schools because I want to give them the same opportunities that I was given by growing up in an amazing area and community. I want to protect that, and that's what I'm running for. I'm a small business owner, residential realtor, and I want to bring that balance to Topeka and get that win this time. We got to hear the voices around us and make sure that they're represented. And I'm excited to be the next representative of District 14. Thank you so much, you guys. I'm excited to be running with this slate of candidates. Seeing them all here tonight really gets me excited because I just can't even imagine running with such an amazing crew of people like this year. Thanks again, and I look forward to hearing more from all of you.
Hello, fellow Democrats. My name is Stacy Nell, and I'm running for the Kansas State Senate in District 9. It was right before last year's gala that I decided to enter this race, and I have to admit, I was looking forward to being introduced and running down that aisle, high-fiving everybody, but this will have to do. It's no small thing to run a campaign during a pandemic, and I want to take a moment to thank the army of volunteers that have supported me, and especially my kitchen cabinet who have advised, shepherded, and sometimes kicked me in the butt, yet all out of our shared goal of flipping the Senate 9-seat blue. This gala is a fitting end to what has been a fantastic week to be a Democrat. I have mentioned the flow of history of law in my campaign, from my great-grandfather born a slave, then graduating from KU School of Law, to Kamala Harris becoming the first woman of color to be nominated to the vice presidency. I am thrilled to be a part of moving this country forward and helping us live up to our ideals. I'm proud to be a Democrat, and I look forward to riding the blue wave all the way up to victory, up and down the ballot in November. My name is Stacy Dell, and I will be the next state senator in District 9. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Lindsay Constance, and I'm running for the Kansas State Senate in District 10, which includes Shawnee, Merriam, Overland Park, and Lake Quivira. This seat is considered the most competitive legislative flip in Kansas by every district. I'm a teacher in the Shawnee Mission School District, where I graduated and where my kids now attend school. I'm running because of the positive progress I have seen serving on a local and regional level over the past 3 years, and I want to bring common sense policies into action on a state level, using data and science to drive our decision making. I currently represent Shawnee residents on the City Council, where we have had some exciting progress. Last August, I was proud to vote in favor of a non-discrimination ordinance in Shawnee, providing equal rights and protections for the LGBTQ members of our community. This year, we created a long-term vision for the city through a strategic visioning process, and I have championed sustainability measures like energy efficiency, green streets, and renewable energy, which reduce emissions and save taxpayer dollars. Not only have we brought forth progress at the city level, but regionally as well. As president and founder of the regional nonprofit Climate Action KC, I have worked with hundreds of elected and community leaders from different backgrounds to implement common sense solutions and create a more resilient Metro Kansas City region. I want to take this same approach of problem solving through collaboration and coalition building to the Kansas State Senate and advocate for data-driven policies that will help everyday Kansans. Protecting school funding, increasing access to affordable health care are issues I will fight for as your Kansas State Senator. My kids and the thousands of students I have taught as a public school teacher serve as my main motivators, and I am ready to flip this critical seat and move Kansas forward.
My name is Wendy Budetti, and I'm running for Kansas State Senate District 23. District 23 is the southeastern portion of Olathe. I'm so excited to be here with you all tonight, virtually. Hopefully next year we can all gather together safely. A little bit about myself. My husband and I, Brett, have lived in Olathe for over 15 years now with our, I can't remember how many kids we have. You might ask Missy Kuntz later. I think she keeps track of how many kids we have. But anyways, we've been working hard in Olathe for years to make positive change in both the NDOs and municipal level, and also working with the school districts on updating their policies to be LGBTQ inclusive. I've been the Senate district leader here in Senate 23 for a while prior to running, and I've just loved getting to know all of the Democrats in Olathe because yes, there are Democrats in Olathe. We are working hard to get out our message of funding our public schools, expanding Medicaid, and most importantly, bringing transparency and accountability to the district. One of the things I've loved over the past several years of being involved in local politics is seeing how some of our awesome local representatives and state senators are so available to their constituents, whether it's via text, tweeting, or Facebook messages, or holding open town halls. It's such a great opportunity to learn about the issues that are going on in Topeka and how they affect everyone here in Johnson County. Unfortunately, my district doesn't have that type of representation, and I'm ready to bring it. We need an open door policy on what's going on in Topeka so that everyone here has a better opportunity to participate in the civic process. Anyways, I appreciate y'all being here tonight, and you can check out our website and campaign on all of the information listed on that picture there. So have a great evening. Let's have some fun.
Hey, I'm Ethan Carson, and I'm running for the Kansas Senate District 7, the seat currently held by Barbara Boyer, our next U.S. Senator. And it is so important that we keep this state Senate seat blue in November, and I need your help to do that. Our district runs from 47th Street to about 99th Street and from State Line to Metcalf. And if you're able to make phone calls, send text messages, write postcards, display a yard sign, or host a virtual meet and greet, please let us know by going to our website, ethanforkansas.com, or by sending an email to info@ethanforkansas.com. I want to thank Nancy Leiker, our county party leaders, and our host committee for putting together such a special event. There are a lot of state parties that would be envious of an event like this. And for a county party to organize this is absolutely incredible, especially with all the challenges that come with a virtual event. You know, I'm convinced that we are on the verge of doing something truly special here in Johnson County. And if we all stick together and work harder than we ever have for these next 71 days, then we'll elect folks to offices like the U.S. Senate,
Hi, this is Becca Peck. I'm sorry. How is everybody doing tonight? Thank you so much. I'm glad we're all here tonight. And I'm glad to be with such a great group of candidates. I'm sorry. I'm grateful that we're all here and that we're all together, and I'm sorry that we can't be in person. I'm honored to be with such a tremendous group of candidates and people and part of the Democratic Party in Johnson County. And thank you for having me, and thank you for supporting Senate District 37. That's all.
Good evening, and thank you for joining your fellow Democrats for the 5th annual Forever the Free State Gala. We're excited to host you in spite of the COVID-19 outbreak and hope you all are staying safe and healthy as we prepare for historic levels of success in the upcoming elections. For this digital gala, we are using Shindig, an interactive event platform. We invite you to form groups with friends and fellow Democrats in the audience. Please know that once the event starts, you will no longer be able to join or form a group. You should see a white bar at the bottom of your screen. On the left-hand side, click the audience icon. Once there, you can search the entire audience by name to find your friends. Click on their image to form a video chat, or you're welcome to enjoy the show individually. The show will begin shortly.
Hello, Johnson County Democrats. This is Pete Buttigieg sending warm greetings from here in South Bend, Indiana. I'm sorry I can't be with you in person, but I have so enjoyed my visits to your area, and I have seen firsthand the work going on across Kansas to move the state forward. You know, when I spoke at Washington Days in 2018, I could feel the energy that you were creating. And so I wasn't so surprised to see election results that November when you sent my friend Sharice Davids to Washington, when you elected Laura Kelly to be your governor. Since then, you've continued to build a movement that's going to make Kansas and our country better off. I know that right now you are channeling that good work and that energy and determination to help send Barbara Bollier to the U.S. Senate later this year. I believe that we are living in a defining and pivotal moment in the life of our country, that the decisions made in 2020 are not just going to shape the next 4 years, but what the rest of this century looks like. So thank you for everything that you're doing to elect leaders at every level of government who are going to build a more inclusive future for the next generation. I'm looking forward to the next time that we can all gather in person, because I think we'll have a lot to celebrate. But until then, stay safe and stay healthy. Thank you for proving that there is no such thing as a permanently red state. And I look forward to having a lot to celebrate come November.
Now, without further ado, please welcome to the stage the former U.S. Attorney for Kansas, the Honorable Barry Grissom.
Welcome, Johnson County Democrats and Democrats from across the country. This evening, we're joined by folks in California, all the way to New Jersey. We had a few technical difficulties. I think what it's given us is newfound respect for everybody who ran the Democratic National Convention. It's quite a task. I want to welcome you to the Forever the Free State Gala. My name is Barry Grissom. I'm going to be your co-host. And being a good Democrat, I know how important it is to have social distancing. So I am 509 miles away from our other co-host, the incredible, the amazing Missy Kuntz. Missy.
Oh, hello, Barry.
Hey, dear.
Hello, how are you? Don't drink bleach. Hey, I'm thrilled to be hosting this event with you all the way from Indianapolis. And folks, we've got a wonderful evening for you. Housekeeping first, blah, 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 internet, online events, why this is our life, am I right? You're going to have a most pleasant experience if you A, are hardwired, or B, are wearing your most hat, or you are closed all of your other programs and such, blah, blah, blah. So now the good stuff. Good stuff is our favorite Congresswoman, Sharice Davids, is going to be joining us live a bit later, and I'm so excited that she'll be here tonight. But I have to mention that Representative Davids did not come alone. She knows how important this gala is for Johnson County, and she knows how important this 2020 election is for Democrats locally and nationally. So she invited a friend to come and join us. Are grateful that he accepted the invitation. Representative Adam Schiff of California, Chairman of the House Intelligence Committee and Democratic superstar, is also going to be joining us as our keynote speaker. And I cannot wait to hear what he has to say about all this.
Well, that's wonderful, and it's amazing. We're honored to have such distinguished members of the House of Representatives join us to talk about what we've accomplished in Johnson County and what we plan on accomplishing in the future. I want to take a moment. This is no easy undertaking, as you might imagine, but I want to take a moment to thank all the volunteers of the Johnson County Democratic Party and all the work they put into this virtual fundraiser that we're having. But this year, more than ever, with the challenges of the pandemic, with a president who tweets and angers us and gets us a little upset at times, we need to keep our eye on the ball. We need to do the things necessary that we continue to improve and build on our party. Let's don't let frustration get the better part of us. We do that, we'll be fine.
Not exactly sure what you said, Barry. That's right. More than ever, we're seeing the members of this community step up and fight for the shared values that we all hold in the Democratic Party, and we have some fantastically qualified candidates stepping up to run for office. More volunteers are working harder than ever to elect these candidates and spread their message, and we are beginning to see some real systematic happening on all levels of government.
Absolutely. And before I forget, I want to wish someone or something a happy birthday. That 19th Amendment, that's going to make the difference in this election when women turn out in droves to vote for Democrats. But, you know, we're only getting started in this process. As Mayor Pete said in that wonderful introductory video a few moments ago, there is no permanently red state. There's no such thing. But we have to keep going, and that's why we're all here this evening. We're here to raise the critical funds necessary so that we can support our amazing candidates. We have Johnson County Democrats up and down the ballot need this help and support. And I want you to know that your dollars go straight into targeted campaigns that make a huge impact on the results. And we're going to see that come election night in November. But let me please highlight our sponsors for this evening, if I can. We want to thank you again, sponsors. We've received so much support, not only here, but throughout the country. And we all are really proud of the fact that this event this evening, we've sold over 400 tickets. In these socially distanced times, you, Democrats in our community and throughout the country, you've shown how much you believe in what we're doing, how much you believe in our party, where you want our country to be. And it's about party building. And we've shown how you've shown us, and we have felt how hungry you are for meaningful change. So on that note, I want you to notice something to think about 5 years ago. 5 years ago in Johnson County, it was actually difficult to get somebody to say, I'm a Democrat. It was difficult to get Democrats elected. Here we are, we're in Johnson County, Kansas. 22% of everyone who lives in Kansas lives in Johnson County. And while we had some representatives, we didn't have nearly enough representatives in Topeka representing our interest. So we did the things necessary to build that party. Back then, we didn't even have a headquarters. Today, we have a permanent headquarters at 75th and Antioch in Overland Park. And I would encourage anyone who wants to volunteer to go over. We phone bank from there. We teach committee people how to work. We work with candidates there. It's a great place for them to meet. But 5 years ago, we wouldn't have had that. So all that's changed now. We're so far down the road from where we were then, but we still got a long, long way to go. So when you think of everything we've done, we now need to take that next step. And on that note, I'd like to get the evening started with an offer from an anonymous donor who's told us that for the first $5,000 that we can raise this evening, they'll match it. That's $5,000 on the table if we can raise 5. And that's, again, amazing from where we were a few years ago to today. So let's send a message to all of our candidates that we have their back. We're going to support them. And again, every dollar raised here tonight will be given or spent on behalf of those fantastic slate of Democratic candidates running for office. Right, Missy?
That's right, Barry. That's wonderful news. So let's see if we can take advantage of that generosity and make sure we unlock all of that $5,000. If you're watching this on Shindig, our event software, you'll see a Donate Now button on your screen. Just give that a click and you at the donation page for this event. If you're watching us live on Facebook or YouTube, please go to actblue.com/donate JOCO actblue.com/donate/JOCO 2020. We'll check in on our progress throughout the evening. Now let's see how quickly we can meet our goal, as every amount helps us get closer in November. Whether it's $5, $50, $500, or our anonymous donors, $5,000, which we need to make sure we get from them while the getting's good. Also, we'd love to see you wherever you are watching this for event. So please show us those fancy pajamas, which I happen to be wearing with my bow tie, your dusty suits, your dresses. Don't be shy. Share your images on Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, using the hashtag #ForeverFree2020. That's hashtag #ForeverFree2020.
Well, I'll tell you, Missy, someone's already sent us $425. It's a good first step. So we're off and running, right? I mean, the Forever the Free State Gala would not be the same unless Missy sang us a song. Would you sing for us, my dear?
Okay, all right, let's go. This is, you're absolutely right, Barry. It's a masterpiece. It's a work of art, and I tried my hand at being a film director. So please enjoy the music video. Mr. Postmaster, I think you might have an idea of the direction this is going to go.
Wait a minute, Mr. Postmaster. We have a few things we need to discuss. Mr. Postmaster, look and see. Is there a mail-in ballot for me? It's been so very long that we've heard from that Mr. DeJoy rat. There hasn't been any word today about the mailboxes that went away. Please, Mr. Postmaster, look and see. Is there a ballot for me? I've been standing here waiting, Mr. Postmaster, so legally for a voter card or just a letter. My 2020 ballot be even better. Mr. Postmaster, look and see. Is there a mail-in ballot for me? It's been so very long that we've heard from that Mr. DeJoy rat. So many days have passed us by. You said the postal service had died. You tried to stop voting by mail, but your layoffs and threats and crazy stunts have failed. Mr. Postmaster, look and see. Is there a mail-in ballot, a ballot for me? You've spent so much time lying and saying mail-in voting's a crime. You better wait a minute. DeJoy, wait a minute. Mr. Postmaster. pressure is mounted, mail-in votes will be counted.
You're the bomb, girl. That was absolutely fantastic. I had no idea you were going to be a YouTube phenom. I'm just thinking that it would be a shame if this went viral after the gala tonight. I'm just saying. But thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Barry. Thank you. It was a lot of fun. And I'm sure that all of my Indiana neighbors are wondering what in the world I was doing at their mailboxes. But, you know, my girl's got to do what she's got to do, right? Why are we here? No, why are we here? Let's get back to the show. We're here to support the party and, most important, get Democrats elected in November. Now, as everyone knows, we have a number of critical races on the ballot this year, but one of the races with massive implications is Democratic nominee and state senator Barbara Bollier's campaign for U.S. Senate. Now, let's listen to what our nominee has to say.
Good evening, everyone.
Baby.
It's truly an honor to speak with you at the 5th annual Forever the Free State Gala. I know the virtual nature of our gathering marks yet another way that this relentless pandemic has disrupted our 2020 plans. But it's important to remind each other that our physical distance tonight is an act of patriotism and love for our community. So I want to thank you for doing your part. You are saving lives. Since the inaugural Free State Gala in 2016, Democratic registration has grown nearly 30% here in Johnson County. You helped elect more than 20 new Kansas Democrats to public office, up and down the ballot. You increased the number of Johnson County Democrats in the Kansas legislature by 500%. Without you, we could never have elected a Kansas Democrat to the governor's office in 2018. You sent one of the first Native American women to Congress. You successfully recruited candidates for 90% of all races on the ballot in 2020, and you did so amid a global pandemic. Bravo. I am so very proud of your contributions to our party, to our country, to our state, and to our nation. That said, it would feel like ignoring an elephant in the Zoom room. Many of you know I was a registered Republican for 43 years. Yet here I am, now a proud, pragmatic Democrat, a candidate for the United States Senate. You welcomed me 2 years ago into this boisterous, big-hearted family with open arms, and I've never looked back. That's essential because the next 3 months are all about the future. I became a doctor to help people and entered public service to fix things that were broken. That's the same reason I'm now running for United States Senate and why it seems even more important during these confusing and dangerous times. Kansans deserve a steady voice of reason amid the hyperpartisanship and gridlock of Washington, D.C. In the beginning, more than one pundit wrote Kansas off as all but unwinnable for a Democrat. But Kansans have a long history of defying the odds. Since we launched this campaign last October, we shattered Kansas fundraising records. We won our primary with more than 85% of the vote. And we're seeing incredible grassroots support and Democrat voter registration up here in Johnson County and all across the state. For all those reasons and many more, not one, but two of the most recent independent polls released in the last week show that this race is a dead heat and open for the taking on November 3rd. But make no mistake, we have a tough road ahead. DC super PACs and special interests have already invested over $4 million in ads to prop up my opponent and make this race as partisan and divisive as possible. So, to win this race, we'll need all the help we can get. Coronavirus has forced us to take things one day at a time, but we've also got to make every day count. So please get involved, volunteer, contribute if you can, have meaningful conversations with your friends and family about all that's at stake. Participate in as many virtual events as you can. Visit our website, bullyayforkansas.com, and text JOIN to 94200. From the bottom of my heart, thank you again for all you have done to build this party, to support my campaign, and bring us to this moment. You've made history more than once over the last 5 years, and I know that together we're going to do it again on November 3rd.
It's good to be here. All right. Thank you for that video, Senator Bullier. It's an exciting time to be a Democrat in Kansas or a Kansas Democrat in Indiana, isn't it? It's never been better.
Absolutely, kiddo. I tell you, it really is. We're looking at that. I reached out to someone on our finance team, and we've almost raised $4,000 so far.
Come on. We just need $1,000 more, and the anonymous donor will match it.
That's when you have to turn to the person on the couch who didn't pay for their ticket, and you go, "Come on, man!
Come on, man!
Come on, man! Come on, man!" So just click on that button so we can meet our goal. It's going to push us way towards getting our goals met, and the big goal, of course, is winning in November.
That's right. So we're looking good, folks. So very close to that goal. And thank you all for your support. I'm glad you enjoyed my video. It sounded like the money just rolled in with Mr. Postmaster. It is available on YouTube. All right. This is happening because we have so many amazing candidates, and this is true, and we need your support. The county party is the control center where all the magic happens, and your dollars here directly support candidates in targeted races and give us the resources that we need to keep making changes locally in Topeka and even in Washington, D.C.
Absolutely. And in fact, we have someone with us this evening who's played an enormous role in that progress. At our very first gala back in 2016, it's how far we've come. This gentleman won his House seat in 2016, Representative Brett Parker. And he has demonstrated that he is a true leader. He is a leading member of our Democratic caucus, and he has had somewhat of a challenging, but I think a very rewarding job this year. He's been the one who's gone out and found this amazing slate of candidates and got them to come on board, and we're working with them. And what I want to do first is say thank you, Brett. It's no money involved here, no benefits, nothing like that. But I want to thank you for your very hard work. And I want to give you an opportunity to spotlight these amazing people who are on our slate of candidates, and also to hear about some of the things that you were able to do over these past few years when you've had the resources and the financial and human resources behind your team.
Well, thank you, Barry and Missy. In 2016, at the first Forever the Free State Gala, I was a first-time candidate just trying to survive the final weeks of a year-long campaign for the Kansas House. And while a lot of things ultimately didn't go the way we had hoped,
Well, as you can see, this is no easy task, but we're doing our very best. To show you how far we've come in a very short period of time, we go back to November of 2016, and we look at our party registration. We've increased our party registration by 29%, none for the Republicans, and a -5 for independents. So we're moving in the right direction. I think we have Brett back. Is that correct?
Yeah, very sorry about that.
No worries, my friend. No worries.
One more fun technical difficulty, but I appreciate you all bearing with me and Barry jumping in. Well, again, I can't thank you enough for letting me be a part of this. Like I was saying, at this time, 2016, I was just trying to survive the final weeks of my year-long campaign for the House. And a lot of things ultimately didn't go the way we had hoped in 2016 at the federal level. But we know one thing, a movement was starting right here in Johnson County. And building on the tremendous work by previous county party leaders, countless volunteers, and the vision of those who launched the first gala, this county party was ready to take all of that emotion, conviction, and let's be honest, grief of election night 2016 and shape it into a force to change Kansas. In fact, even as the national races were breaking our hearts that November, Johnson County Democrats tripled their Kansas House delegation. And that was really just the beginning. As a surge of new volunteers and activists stepped up, the Johnson County Democratic Party was there to turn the groundswell of energy into long-term structural change. Precinct leaders were appointed and trained. Local offices, which previously only a brave few Democrats served, were flipped blue by the dozens in 2017. And in 2018, driven by the energy, activism, and leadership of the Johnson County Party, this county, which had twice elected Sam Brown back, soundly rejected his chief disciple. Johnson County went for Laura Kelly in a landslide and provided nearly her entire statewide margin of victory. And on that same night, Johnson County Democrats answered the call of a nation in crisis to send Sharice Davids, a force for democracy and decency, to Washington, D.C. to take back the U.S. House. And as amazing as those 2017 and 2018 victories were, we didn't stop there. The state legislative delegation continued to grow, and dozens more Democrats were elected to local offices just last year in our county. And as you may have heard, we are heading into the 2020 election with our Democratic nominee, Barbara Bollier, in a dead heat for the U.S. Senate race in Kansas. Senator Bollier is joined on the ballot this fall by the most impressive slate of candidates we've ever fielded. Because of your investments in the Johnson County Democratic Party, I've been able to work full-time these past 2 years to help identify great candidates, have countless conversations over many, many cups of coffee about what it looks like for them to run, and then to help coach them through this journey. We connect every week to talk about fundraising, conversations with voters, public policy, and frankly, just how to stay relatively sane while campaigning in very uncertain times. Down ballot races are largely a volunteer-run, learn-as-you-go experience. It's part of what makes them a great adventure to be a part of. But with your support of the party, we've been able to offer professional support to all of our 2020 candidates. It has been my privilege to serve alongside and learn everything I can from our incumbent office holders. And I could not be more excited for our great group of challengers to join us in elected office. Over the past year and a half, I have shared countless joyful phone and text conversations with Nancy Liker every time a new great candidate steps up to run. And whether by phone, text, Zoom, or any other media available, I cannot wait for more joyful celebrations on November 3rd as we get to congratulate our great slate of candidates on their set of victories. If we keep it up, if we keep putting in the work, if we keep supporting this organization, which provides the foundation for successful candidates across the country, or across the county. So as we look over the names on our slate of candidates, I hope that you'll join me in thinking about what we can do over the next 72 days to make that celebration possible. So here is our inspiring slate of Democratic candidates. For Kansas House, Representative Neighbor, Representative Clayton, Representative Stogsdill, Representative Ruiz, Representative Owsley, Representative Shue, Representative Woodard, Representative Day, and we're going to call her Representative-elect Vaughn for now, since she doesn't have a Republican opponent for the fall. Angela Schweller, Cole Fine, Linda Featherston, Joella Hoy, Mary Lynn Poskin,
Dr. Mike Schimmel, Sona Patel, Sally Jersha, Sherry Grogan, Dr. Les Lampy, Pam Finley, Katie Dixon, Kathy Meyer, James Rexford. And for the Kansas Senate, Senator Pat Petty, Senator Dinah Sykes, Ethan Corson, Representative Cindy Holscher, Stacy Nell, Shawnee City Councilwoman Lindsey Constance, former Representative Joy Costin, Wendy Budetti, and Becca Peck. For Kansas Board of Education, Melanie Haas. For Johnson County District Attorney, Zach Thomas. For U.S. House, Representative Sharice Davids. For U.S. Senate, Senator Barbara Bollier. For Vice President, Kamala Harris. And for President, Joe Biden. Now, success for the Johnson County Party is more than just a longer list of candidates or a set of talking points we get to brag about. Our success made Nancy Pelosi Speaker of the House. Our success stopped an anti-choice constitutional amendment. Our success sustained the vetoes of Governor Kelly. Republican efforts to restrict reproductive freedom, return to failed tax experiments, and deny adequate school funding would have all been successful if it were not for the work of this county and your part in supporting it. The impact of your investment in this county party is felt around the state and the nation, but the biggest challenges and opportunities still lay ahead. We know absolutely that the path to turning State Senator Bollier into U.S. Senator Bollier runs through Johnson County. We know that success in that race alone can change the course of our nation. We know that our work will be key in sending Congresswoman Davids back to Washington, D.C. with a resounding victory, but we cannot lose sight of what's at stake at every level of the ballot. The State Board of Education needed just one more vote to support Governor Kelly in protecting our students, teachers, and community. Melanie Haas is that vote we need. And at a time when our nation is crying out for justice reform, Zach Thomas is the DA we need. And with a Kansas Republican legislative delegation racing further to the extreme right at every possible moment, our incredible slate of House and Senate candidates will lead gains around the state. Their success, our success in flipping the state House and Senate seats will shape Kansas for years to come. With a Democratic governor, it is imperative that we break the narrow Republican supermajorities in both chambers. Doing so means defeating another anti-choice amendment. It means defeating gerrymandering in Kansas for the next decade. If we don't break those supermajorities, there may not even be a recognizable third congressional district for us to hold come 2022. Breaking the supermajorities means empowering Laura Kelly to lead with strength heading into her reelection. Now, I've been preaching the gospel of breaking the supermajorities for 2 years now because I absolutely believe that even that marginal gain will have a massive impact for the positive for the long term. But I have a confession. I want more than just the one state House seat it will take to break the supermajorities. And I want more than just the 3 state Senate seats it will take in the Senate. We can go into the 2021 legislative session having smashed the supermajorities and with Republicans terrified of losing their majorities outright. And we have the exact set of candidates we need to do that. Now, our great candidates are doing their part. They've disrupted their lives. They've overcome a fear of asking everyone they know for money, and they've devoted hours upon hours to phone banking, thank you notes, and endless policy surveys. And on top of that, they're doing all of this in a global pandemic. But they've stepped up in part because you've stepped up. You've helped to build a county party that has elected a governor, a congresswoman, and grown its legislative delegation from 3 to 14 in the past 4 years. You've helped build a party strong enough to find, train, and invest in great candidates. We've come a long way together, and if we keep working and keep investing, we will take yet another leap forward on November 3rd, just 10 weeks and 2 days from tonight. So please join me in continuing to support these candidates and this organization that is critical to their success. Let's dig deep to make sure we push this great slate across the finish line and continue to shape our state and nation for the better. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Representative Parker, for that wonderful presentation. Though a bit buffered at first, we fixed it because we're awesome. And so are our Democratic candidates. And we want to thank you for all the work that you've done to help all of those candidates. And folks, you can see what happens when we come together in a big way. But there's someone else that really, really helps the Democratic committee in Johnson County that really helps in a big way. And I think, Barry, could you speak to that person a little bit?
Absolutely. As I said before, it takes a lot of people to put together something like this. Now imagine doing this for 8 years. Where were we 8 years ago when Nancy Liker said, sure, I'll do it, and stepped into that void and slowly but surely helped build our county party back. You know, as most of you probably know, when you're a county chair, you don't get paid. Very rarely does someone say thank you. You have people competing all around you, although you're on the same team. It's kind of like herding cats, I'm sure. It's not an easy job, but Nancy has stepped up to the challenge, and we are where we are today in no small part because of her great effort and great work. So Nancy, we all want to say thank you, and we love you very much. Thank you for your service. It means everything.
I love that, Nancy. I love that, Nancy. And loving her makes me think about money, and thinking about money makes me think about you, Barry. Barry, why don't we check in and see where are we at with these donations? We want to get that $5,000 match. Tell me we've made it. Tell me we have.
If this were a telethon, we'd now have the drum roll. We are now at $5,100. So we have met our match and put a little more money in the bank than that. So we're thrilled by your generosity and your support. As we said before, this can't happen unless you support us. So our candidates know, as I said earlier, we have their back, and we're going to be there for them come this November. And we're going to be there for them on election night when they count those ballots and we win.
Absolutely. Speaking of election nights, since her election in 2018, our beloved Representative Sharice Davids has brought the representation to our community that was long overdue in Washington. And I know that we all see just how hard she's working for us out there and fighting for the issues and change that we value most. And I know that we're going to do everything that we can to make sure that this newly flipped seat in Kansas 3rd District stays bright blue. So please help me welcome to the virtual stage my friend, Representative Sharice Davids.
Well, thank you, Missy and Barry, for being the MCs this evening. Like Barry said, this does give us, I hope, a new appreciation for all of the work to the Democratic Convention. So first of all, it's really great to be with you all this evening, even if it's through a computer screen. I know things look a lot different now than they did the first time I attended the Gala in 2018. And like many of you, this year's Gala has me thinking about all that we've accomplished working together since 2018. I mean, it's really wild to think about. 2018 was such a historic year for our party. Obviously, we've heard it already. We elected Laura Kelly to the governor's office. You sent me to Congress. We elected the first 2 openly LGBTQ lawmakers to our state legislature with Brandon Woodard and Susan Ruiz. And we made a statement that Democrats are here to do the work and make change in Johnson County. And over the past 2 years, we've seen the progress that we can make with strong Democrats in office. At the federal level, I'm really proud to have worked with my colleagues in the House to pass dozens of bills to lower the cost of health care and stop drug companies from gouging Kansans. We passed sweeping anti-corruption legislation to limit the influence of money in politics. We've worked to invest in our public schools to revitalize our nation's crumbling infrastructure. And we've been a check on this administration, something that our keynote speaker knows a thing or two about. And, you know, this is what's possible when we have a Democratic majority in the House, even though I feel like I spend so much time being disappointed in Mitch McConnell's lack of leadership. You know, so many of the bills that we've passed sit in Mitch McConnell's legislative graveyard. But over the past 2 years, we have certainly had to deal with in the House and push back on the consequences of having an administration that's ill-equipped to lead our country. And with us in the middle of multiple national crises, whether we're talking about the pandemic that's threatening the health and economic security of our families, to the important and long overdue conversation about systemic racism and injustice in this country. You know, these are all things that that highlight the need for leadership. We have a president that's more focused on stopping people from voting than he is on stopping this coronavirus pandemic. And if we want a president who's going to put the health and safety of the American people first, and if we want to accomplish all of the things that we've been able to accomplish in the House, if we want to see that actually turn into law and policy that's going to be enacted and implemented, we know what we need to do. It's part of why we're here tonight. It's part of why so many of us participated in the convention just this past week. We have a lot of work to do to hold on to the 3rd district, and we have to keep control of the House. We need to elect Barbara Bollier, who we got to hear from earlier. We need to help flip the Senate, and we have to send Joe Biden and Kamala Harris to the White House. We know all of the things that we need to do, and it's evident because this is truly one of the most consequential elections of our lifetimes. It's the most consequential election of our lifetimes. And even though our campaigns look different this year, we're going to be working harder than we ever had. We just know it's going to be a little bit different, kind of like this gala this evening. So what we need to do is vote. We need to vote early. I know I feel very fortunate that in our state, we've got a lot of folks who understand the safety that they can experience through vote by mail or absentee voting, early voting, however you choose to vote. We know that we have to make sure everybody can do that safely. We're going to, I'm sure, get into that in a little bit. But, you know, at this point, building on the grassroots momentum, make sure we're organizing and phone banking and text banking and doing all the things we can between now and November 3rd to win. I know so many of you are doing this. I was looking at all the names of folks who are on here, and I have so much gratitude for the work you've been doing. This election, as you know, is about taking back our democracy. We need all hands on deck to do that. And we know it's not going to be easy. People for sure doubt that we can do again what we did in 2018, but I think we're actually going to see something even bigger than what we saw in 2018. And, you know, a quick aside, I will tell you, folks in DC still will sometimes do a double take when I tell them that I'm a Democrat representing a district in Kansas. But that's changing. People are taking notice. Folks have seen what the Democrats in Kansas have done. And we've got tons of national attention on our state because of all of that hard work and all of that momentum. And it's in part evidenced in the keynote speaker that we have tonight. Chairman Adam Schiff, who is now in his 10th term serving in the House of Representatives, serves as the chairman of the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence. I usually just say Intelligence Committee, but he has clearly demonstrated his leadership for our country, his leadership in the House. And I'm so pleased and proud to serve alongside him, to have him take the time out to join the Johnson County Democrats this year. And I think folks should be, I just want all of you to know just how important the House recognizes this seat is. And it's not just because of me. It's because folks know that Kansas can really lead our country in a lot of different ways. We're seeing it in our Senate candidate, and we saw it in 2018. So I just want to thank Chairman Schiff now, because I'm sure when we get done with this, we'll get into a big conversation. And like so many of the folks who are on here, I was in awe of the skills and fortitude showed while speaking truth to power, holding the administration accountable. And again, it's an honor to serve alongside Chairman Schiff, and I'm looking forward to hearing his remarks. So without further ado, I am going to turn it over to Chairman Schiff. Thank you so much for being here tonight, and I'm looking forward to hearing your remarks.
Sharice, thank you so much. Good evening, Democrats. What a treat to join you. And can I just start out by saying that you are incredibly well represented. Sharice is doing a fabulous job, as you know, someone who hit the ground running immediately upon her election to Congress, and has done really something that is exceedingly rare right now. And that is she has come to be respected by members of both parties, respected by the leadership for her intellect, her capability, her professionalism, her thoughtfulness, her policymaking. She is a total home run. And I think a great example of this class of Democrats. I think the most talented new group of members we've ever had. And indeed, Sharice and I were talking a bit at the reception about what makes us optimistic these days. And what makes me optimistic, among other things, is just the caliber of new members of Congress that we have. People like Sharice Davids are the future of our party, and the future is very bright. In the same way that people, I think, after 9/11 joined the service of the country, joined the military to defend our country, people after Donald Trump was elected, and knowing that the democracy needed defending, ran for Congress. And it's an extraordinary group of young people, and not so young people, but extraordinary group of new people who have a tremendous passion for public service. Sharice is already, I think, paving the way to universal health care, economic opportunities for all, attacking so many of the disparities and inequalities and injustices that have so much come to light in the last several years, but have been a persistent part of our history. So it's a great pleasure to join Sharice tonight and to join all of you in such a pivotal part of the country, because I think you can easily say that the majority in the House and in the Senate runs through Kansas. And I'm so grateful for all of your efforts. I want to just turn back the clock for a moment tonight to 4 years ago, in the summer of 2016. When I was the top Democrat in the Intel Committee, but then the ranking minority member, Senator Feinstein, was the Democrat leading in the Senate Committee. And we were seeing the beginnings of a Russian campaign to interfere in our election with the object of denigrating Hillary Clinton and trying to elect Donald Trump. And that effort took a few different forms. It took the form of a social media campaign. It took the form of a hacking and dumping operation, and was tragically successful. We only, I think, after the election, got to see the full size and scope of that effort to influence the American election. But now, 4 years later, we find ourselves in much the same situation, with Russia once again interfering with a social media campaign, with an overt media campaign, and we have to expect with a hacking and dumping operation as well, and with the same object, the election of Donald Trump, who has been a gift to Putin and Russia in every way, undermining NATO, disrupting the transatlantic alliance between the United States and some of our closest partners, like the British and the French, the Germans and others, ceding leadership in the Middle East and in Syria, enabling a despotic ruler who gassed his own people in Syria, betraying our Ukrainian allies by withholding hundreds of millions in military support for an ally at war with the Russians. The list goes on and on and on. And so the Russian investment in the election of Donald Trump has paid tremendous dividends. But here we are again, the Russians once again interfering. And rather than discourage them, rather than deter them, of course, everything about the president's actions and often inactions, his words and his deeds, is nothing but an encouragement to adversaries like the Russians to intervene. We have seen in 2016, of course, the president invite foreign intervention. We then saw, though, in 2019, the president go beyond that, now in office with the powers of the presidency at his disposal, seek to coerce a country, Ukraine, into smearing his opponent, actions that ultimately led to his impeachment. We also would learn through John Bolton that not only was he trying to coerce Ukraine to help him cheat in the election, he was begging China's president, President Xi, to help him in his reelection as well. So it is not a surprise to find us in the situation we are in, but nonetheless, this foreign intervention, undeterred, undissuaded, if anything, incentivized by the president's actions and words, nonetheless posing a threat to our democracy and the principle that Americans decide American elections. But I have to tell you of a terrible conclusion that I reached during the course of the Russia and Ukraine investigations, and that is the threat posed to this country from outside, from without, is in fact severe, but less than the threat from within, from a president who would tear down our democratic institutions, undermine the freedom of the press, and now attack the franchise itself by seeking to disenfranchise millions during a pandemic by forcing them to choose their health or their vote. It's unconscionable, but this is what's going on, and it poses a far greater threat to our democracy than anything any foreign adversary could do. During the impeachment trial, you might recall, we posed a question, a rhetorical question, which we knew was on the mind of many senators. Okay, you've proven him guilty, but do we really need to remove him from office? After all, there's an election only months away. How much damage could he really do between now and the election? And we answer that question by saying a lot of damage. He could do an awful lot of damage. Frankly, we had no idea how much damage he would go on to do. We now have 175,000 Americans dead from this virus. We have an economy in shambles. And it's because of the incompetence of this leadership, it's because of the malignant narcissism of this president that a country so well poised to deal with a pandemic, in fact, has had more disease and death than any other nation on earth. And I want to emphasize, it didn't have to be this way. The pain and hardship and loss of life from the pandemic was not inevitable. The economic hardship was not inevitable. It is not simply what it is. It is what the president has made of it. His deceit, his incompetence, and his fixation on only doing what's best for him and not what's best for the country. It all, at the end of the day, gets to character, or miraculously, the absence of character. And this is, I think, why the convention, the Democratic convention, was so powerful, with the emphasis that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris placed on the issue of character and basic decency. We couldn't have a more profound contrast between someone who is fundamentally indecent, tearing down our democracy, and the fundamental decency and empathy and strong democratic leadership of Joe Biden. So the choice is very stark and crystal clear, but I want to be very blunt tonight. From now until Election Day, the president will continue to disparage and discourage the votes of millions who cast their votes and must cast their votes because of the pandemic by absentee ballot, even though that's how the president himself votes. He is laying the foundation to discredit the votes of millions. If this election is close, if the president refuses to leave office, if he refuses the time-honored American tradition of the peaceful transition of power, there is no simple, clear playbook. There is no prescribed procedure because we've never faced that kind of a crisis. And we are, of course, doing all we can to avert that, prevent that, anticipate what we must. Strengthening the Postal Service, making sure it has the resources, making sure that we are prepared for any contingency, pushing back against the abuse of the military to surveil or intervene in protests. But I must tell you, the best, most important thing we can do is avoid a close or contested result. And the good news is it is within our power to do so. If we register our people to vote, if we turn out our people to vote, whether it's early voting, in-person voting, voting by mail, if we overwhelm the vote as we have the power to do, because we have the numbers to do it, we can repudiate this president and everything he stands for in landslide fashion. We can flip the Senate, and we can not only keep fantastic representatives like Sharice Davids, but we can expand our majority in the House. Indeed, we can save our democracy. Your activism, your financial support tonight for the party, for a district at the very heart of America in so many ways, is vital to that effort. So let me just close by thanking you for all of your activism, your support for never giving up, and your relentless efforts to improve America, to make us a more perfect union. Thank you, and I very much look forward to our discussion tonight.
Hi, Chairman. Can you see me and hear me?
I can. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Hopefully everybody else can see and hear as well. I know we had some technical difficulties earlier, but everything seems to be running really smoothly. I'm so glad I got to hear your remarks, and you actually ended on and touched on some of the first things that I was hoping for us to kind of talk about. You know, the composition of Congress, of course, shifted a bit in the 2018 midterm elections. And as somebody who came in with one of the most, actually with the most diverse members of Congress ever in U.S. history, I'm constantly surprised because I'm new here, right? So I'm always asking, is this normal? The general consensus seems to be no. But I am curious from your perspective and your tenure there, and now as a chairman of as the chairman of the Intelligence Committee, what has it been like to see such a drastic kind of shift in the way that our that an administration interacts with Congress, or just governs? I feel like your perspective on this would be so interesting.
Well, thank you for the question. This is not normal. This is not normal in any way, shape, or form. And I think we have to resist allowing ourselves to be numbed into normalcy, numbed into the idea that this is now somehow the way it's got to be or the way it has always been. It hasn't been like this. Every day is a new astonishment, and a terrible astonishment. We're getting ready now to witness the spectacle of the president overtly campaigning with the White House as his backdrop, holding the RNC convention from the steps of the White House. That would be unthinkable for past presidents. The idea that a president would use the power of his office to try to move the British Open to his own golf club and use the power of the diplomatic corps, the U.S. ambassador to the Court of St. James, to enrich himself would have been unthinkable. An administration where the president's personal lawyer, the president's campaign chairman, deputy campaign chairman, national security advisor would all be indicted, would be convicted or plead guilty. The president's longtime political advisor would be convicted by a jury. And now his longtime political strategist, Steve Bannon, would be indicted. And for what? You really can't make this stuff up, but indicted for promising people if they donated to build the wall that all their money would go to building a wall and not a penny would go to him or his Confederates, but in fact, siphoning off a huge amount of money to line their own pockets. This, of course, from a crowd that said that Mexico was going to pay for this wall. They're a group of grifters and con men and scam artists, and there's nothing normal about that. And so, I think people all over the country have been watching the spectacle by someone who said they were going to drain the swamp and seen what he has done instead. And this must never be normal. And Sharice, one of the things that I've been working on the last several months since the trial ended is a whole package of what I'm describing as post-Watergate reforms that we can put in place after Joe Biden is elected president to strengthen the independence of the Justice Department, to enforce and expedite congressional subpoenas in the courts so you can't play rope-a-dope for years, as the president has, to curb the abuse of the pardon power, to protect inspector generals, to protect whistleblowers. I guess we'll need one to make sure the White House isn't a campaign address anymore. The list goes on. It may be an unending list until his last days in office. but there's nothing normal about this, Sharice. And I'm so glad you're there, but I feel terrible about the maelstrom that you came into. But we need you, and it's just such an honor to be in the fight with you. If you got to go in a fight like this, you want a mixed martial artist by your side. That's my view.
Well, next time we can be all in person. I think I'll start showing folks some, just a couple of moves, not a whole bunch, just a couple. And then, so I'm optimistic about us being able to see each other in person at some point. We were talking earlier about feeling optimistic. I know you mentioned it at the top of your remarks here, but just I get asked occasionally what I feel optimistic about, and a lot of times, a lot of times I would talk about the people who come into our office. Now we're doing these things virtually, of course, but folks who are coming in and talking about, so many issues around healthcare, so many issues around things like surprise medical billing, which I introduced a bill about surprise medical billing based on a number of stories that folks here in Kansas had. And at first I was like, oh man, there's so many things going on that feel overwhelming for people or have just gone really wrong for folks. And then at some point, and it was actually still during the shutdown that we got sworn into, I remember thinking, you know what? The thing that's amazing about this position is that I get the chance every day to hear from people who are trying to change the world in some way. And a lot of times it actually doesn't personally impact them anymore. The changes that might be made are what has happened in their family or to a loved one or to them individually has already happened. Legislation is not going to change that, but they're coming to Washington, D.C. or making an appointment at my office here in Kansas so that they can try to make it so other people don't have to deal with the same thing they had to deal with. And then there's the young people. We're seeing it now with so many people stepping up and expressing their free speech. But I'm curious if you could share with me again, but share with the group here. What are you feeling optimistic about? At some point we'll be on the other side of the coronavirus, and I do think a Biden-Harris ticket is going to help us get to a much quicker, slowing and stopping of this pandemic. But I'm curious what gives you optimism, and then what are you optimistic about?
Well, that's such an important question right now, because I know so many millions of Americans during the last few years have felt this overwhelming sense of dread about where the country was headed and powerless to do things about it. And there's a lot of room for optimism about our future. But I have to tell you, first of all, when we do get together and you do that martial arts demonstration, I'm going to let you demonstrate on someone else. Because I did some martial arts when I was in college. I studied karate and I had a fabulous sensei. And I took it up again when I got to Congress. Now, there'd been a long hiatus in between, but I was sparring with someone and I blocked a kick with my hand, and the foot is definitely mightier than the hand. And I sprained my hand so badly that I couldn't shake hands for 6 months. Now, talk about an occupational injury in our line of work. So I've refrained from martial arts since then. But in terms of optimism, I would say a few things. First of all, the best way to avoid the kind of overwhelming sense that there's so much going wrong that you're just paralyzed in inaction is to be involved. And of course, everyone watching tonight understands this, that engagement is really the key. There's nothing more debilitating than thinking you're powerless to affect your circumstances. We may be confined to our quarters right now during the pandemic, but there are all kinds of online ways now to be involved. Online voter registration drives, online texting campaigns, online email drives, online educational efforts to let people know how to vote early, how to make sure their vote counts. All of these things are enormously important. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can do it through the Johnson County Democratic Party. You can do it through environmental organizations, any number of different ways, and it's really empowering. So that's a great way to feel optimistic, is to be engaged. But also, I have just great faith in the country. In terms of the impeachment trial that we went through, I felt very uplifted at the end of the trial, notwithstanding the verdict, but by what Mitt Romney did, by the courage that he showed, and not just Mitt Romney, but people like Joe Manchin, who comes from a state that is probably more supportive of Donald Trump than Utah, where Mitt Romney comes from, and folks like Doug Jones, people of just extraordinary courage, who I think personified that confidence our founding fathers had, that we possess sufficient virtue to govern ourselves, that we don't need to be ruled by a despot. There are just so many wonderful people in this country. We are very resilient people. We will get through this. There are brighter days ahead. I really do think, and I'm not saying this merely because you're a member of the class, but you and this freshman class are what give me such optimism about the future, because when I look at the next generation of leadership, it looks very, very bright.
That's amazing. And I completely agree with you, at least in terms of recognizing how amazing my freshman colleagues are with the diversity. There's so many different ways that our class is diverse. And when it comes to some of the policy issues that we've had to face just in this first, it feels like a 30-year career packed into like 16 months or something. But there have been a lot of things that we've had to deal with, to think about, that we're seeing divide so many different groups of people. And I think if Donald Trump is good at anything, it's figuring out what is the thing that I can wedge in between groups of people. And because of all of the issues that we've had to face, I'm curious, what do you think? And you kind of mentioned some of the accountability and oversight issues going forward that we should be thinking about when it comes to the presidency. But what are some of the other policy areas that you're interested in seeing as we think about taking back the White House, and then flipping the Senate? And I believe the path to flipping the Senate goes right through Kansas with our candidate running, Barbara Bollier. But I'm curious what policy. It doesn't have to be all of them. I'm sure you probably get asked this a lot, but I'm curious what the top one or two things that just like get your mental juices going. And I'm a big infrastructure nerd, and so I get excited about that stuff. But I'm curious on your end.
Yeah, I guess I would mention a couple things. The first is I spent 6 really wonderful years as an assistant U.S. attorney working for the Department of Justice out in Los Angeles. And I've just got great respect for the men and women of the department, but it breaks my heart. And frankly, it worries me enormously to see the kind of destructive leadership of that department by Bill Barr. And I truly think that next to Donald Trump, he's the second most dangerous person in the country right now. The attacks on the independence of the Justice Department, the intervention in the case of Michael Flynn, and then the intervention in the case of Roger Stone, 2 people who lied on behalf of the president, lied to help cover up for the president. This would be unthinkable. It's more graphic corruption than anything we saw during Watergate. Nixon would not have had the audacity to intervene in such a overt and ham-handed way. And so one of the areas that I really think we need to focus on when we get through this chapter is building in stronger guardrails to protect the independence of the Justice Department, from any future executive. We thought these norms of post-Watergate norms of a wall between the White House and the Justice Department in specific cases, particularly specific cases implicating the president, was strong enough, but it's not. And so we need to figure out how to reinforce that. And this is a particular passion of mine coming out of that department and, like you, being trained in the law and having a reverence for the law and how it can help protect the most vulnerable in our society. I mean, what we've seen to date is the use of the Department of Justice as a shield to protect the president. An attorney general who views himself as the president's Roy Cohn, as his personal, unapologetic, dirty water carrier. What we have not seen yet, although there are disturbing signs that we may before Election Day, is the use of the department as a political weapon to attack. That is, use of the department to persecute or prosecute the president's political enemies. And of course, we remember those surreal, inferno-like images from Australia earlier in the year. And so the urgency that we need to bring to that issue is something I very much share and will continue to be a very high priority.
I appreciate you bringing that up. And that's actually one of the reasons that I'm so excited about the work I get to do on transportation and infrastructure, is because of the impacts that policy in that space can have on issues of climate change. And I've been watching the news about what's going on with the fires, and then, looking at the two hurricanes that are quickly approaching down near Texas and Louisiana. And it's all very, it's a very stark reminder of the work that we have to do. So thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, Sharice, I'd love to ask you if I could. You mentioned how your class is the most diverse ever, and it certainly is in so many ways. And now we have, one of the most diverse tickets ever in Kamala Harris as our VP candidate. One of the things that I think has just been hammered home by the murder of George Floyd, by the millions taking to the streets to protest systemic racism, is just the degree to which, as human beings, it's so hard for us to step into the shoes of others and understand the experience of others, which is why it's so important to have diverse representation in government at every level. And I wonder if you can share with us, from your unique vantage point, and you bring some extraordinary diversity to the Congress yourself, obviously. What is it that you would like to share about your experience? The people that don't have your experience might not know, would not know, could certainly not appreciate the way you can. And I know that's a big question, and there's probably any number of ways in which people simply can't understand your experience without having lived it. But what would you, in particular, focus on?
That's a really interesting question. And I appreciate the way you asked it, because I think that one of the things that that ends up happening is sometimes we don't even get to the point where we get to have conversations about a lot of things. Especially, this is one thing I've noticed now that I'm a member of Congress, and our schedules are so stretched. We're so stretched, and I don't get the chance to engage with and interact with colleagues as much maybe as I would if, and you mentioned earlier the two different types of seats, the safe seat and then the one that's, always flipping back and forth, and how that really can feel like a different type of job. One of the things that I've noticed is, and I don't know if this is a new thing or not, but there is such an eagerness to learn and to ask, like, from our colleagues, to learn about issues addressing, sometimes it's LGBTQ community issues, or more often than not, it's Native or tribal issues. And I think one of the things that I realized sometime in the last probably 5 years was that a lot of times issues as it relates to Native communities or tribal communities are often thought about in a very historical context. And I think that can sometimes just bringing up, like, yes, there's a long history, just like there is for a lot of other communities in this country, and particularly Black folks. Like, the history in this country is so long and often unknown to people in mainstream, our education system and all those things. Like, it's hard for people to really grasp. But Native issues are often talked about in a very historical context. And I feel like one of the most amazing things I've seen from the election of so many election and candidacy of so many Native folks is that the issues are less and less being talked about just in a historical context. And to me, that's probably it. Like, if I could point to one thing that I've seen that's kind of been a shift or something like that over the last 4 or 5 years, it's that people that's something that always felt kind of like an invisibility, if that makes sense. So there's probably lots of other things I could talk about, but
no, that's
and
totally,
I decided
totally fascinating.
I decided to focus on the Native American lens versus the MMA lens, but so I don't know if Mark Wayne Mullins, yes, that part covered too.
I think, there's really not enough attention to the fact that you're the first MMA fighter in Congress, at least as far as I know.
Well, there is Mark Wayne Mullen, who is a rep from Oklahoma. I think he's had a number of fights. I don't know how many. I should know his record.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah.
Sure
so I have the element of surprise because I'm so. So I guess, I don't want to take up a ton more of your time this evening. I think I might sneak in 2 questions all together so that we can start to wrap up here. First, can you tell us a little bit about your dog?
Oh.
And then second, I guess I just like whatever kind of closing remarks something that you think we should be thinking about going forward, whether we're talking about getting Joe Biden and Kamala Harris elected, or just like, what should we be thinking about?
Well, thank you for those questions. And Sharice brought up my dog because during the VIP reception, my 13-and-a-half-year-old German Shepherd came, I can't say sauntering because she can barely walk, but dragged herself over to sit at my feet. And I was a bit concerned because she does that during a lot of my Zoom conferences, and she will start to whine if I'm not paying attention to her. And during the intermission between the reception and the dinner tonight, I had to usher her out of the room. But she's just been such a sweetheart and wonderful part of our life. But unfortunately, she's really declining. So we're quite sad about it in the family at the moment. They're such wonderful creatures and so smart. We used to joke that when she was a puppy, we didn't crate her or anything. When we had to leave the house, we left her in the laundry room, and people told us, no, she'll destroy the door and tear things down. And we would say, no, she's so smart that when we get home, she not only hasn't destroyed anything, but she's folded the laundry and separated the colors, which is really remarkable because they're colorblind. But that's just how smart they are. But in any event, what I guess I would like to share in closing, apart from bragging about my dog, is this is a unique and often, and as we all know, challenging time in our country's history. And I really think that it's a time that calls on all of us to think about what can we do when our country really needs us. And we're fortunate, Sharice, in Congress that we have a position where we can make a difference right now, but everyone can make a difference in their own way. And so I think it falls on all of us to say, what can I do with the resources that I have, with the abilities that I have in my private life, in my work life, in my civic capacity, in my corporate capacity, whatever it may be. What can I do right now to make a difference in the life of my country when it's really needed? And make a plan, not just for voting, but make a plan for what you're going to do right now, what you can do right now to contribute until we get past this chapter of our history. I wonder, Sharice, what are our colleagues in the GOP going to say years from now when their grandchildren come to them and say, grandfather, tell me what you did when that man was locking people in cages. Tell me what you did to stand up to him. Tell me what you did. Please tell me you did something. I don't know what they'll answer. I don't know if they'll have an answer. But I want to make sure that I have an answer. And I think all of us need to do what we can with the means that we have at our disposal to speak out when we see things that are unjust, to reach out to help those who are in need right now get through this pandemic, and make sure that we put an end to this chapter of our history in November, and through the course of responsible actions like wearing a mask and keeping our distance, that we also do our part to put an end to this terrible pandemic. So that's what I would leave you with. There's a bright future ahead of us. The sun will come up again. We will get through this. This too shall pass. But how quickly it passes and how much damage there is to mitigate will depend on what we do now and in the days ahead. And so thank you to all the Johnson County Democrats. Thank you for Sharice. Please do everything you can to send her back. We need her desperately. And send us a new senator and send us a new president. The road really does run through Kansas.
Thank you so much. Well, this was amazing. I'm so glad we got to do this tonight. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to spend this this annual event with us. I mean, it's phenomenal to see you. And now I see Missy Kuntz is back and Barry Grissom is back.
Meet you.
Good to meet you.
Thank you. Thank you. I think you're awesome. You're a hero to all people who have brains. So thank you so much. And thank you, Sharice. And I'm so glad that I'm going to get to see you two fight. It's really exciting. And if you break your hand again, Adam, it's okay, because we may not ever shake hands again. So it'll be all right. I want to thank you both so much. Barry, don't you want to thank them?
Absolutely. And if you break your hand, remember, Medicare for all, you'll be covered.
Excellent.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Congresswoman. Thank you very much, Congressman. It has been a true honor to spend the evening with you. Thank you for your efforts. We appreciate it.
All right, Barry, I think some of the takeaways there were, what are we optimistic about? Solidarity. We are very optimistic about our young people, because young people change history, old people don't. And we're just optimistic about what a great slate that we have coming up. And speaking of great people, we don't want you to go too far away, because we have some really great things coming up. We have Tim Kaine, a video from Tim Kaine coming up, who is, I think we're mutual fans of one another, Tim and I, 100%. Well, and fun, right?
Absolutely. I mean, Tim Kaine, he's the pride of Rockhurst High School in Prairie Village, Kansas. His mom and dad still live here, so absolutely. But yes, the fun and need. That's kind of where you come in, my dear.
Right on, right on. So here's the deal, everybody. It's weird to do a fun and need virtually, but we can do it because we're Democrats and we're awesome, and we want to give more money because we want to win, because we cannot continue to be in the state of the state that we are in right now. So here are a few things to keep in mind. It doesn't matter how much money you give. There's a donate button. You want to hit that donate button and give us some of your money. The growth that we have had since 2016 is absolutely extraordinary. It is off the charts. Look at that. Okay, 29% party affiliation growth since November 2016, and there has been no growth in the Republican Party. So there has been 20 new elected officials in 2019. This happened in 2019. So actblue.com/donate/Joe 2020, 500% growth in our state legislator delegation since 2014. We are killing it in Johnson County. We are killing it in Kansas. 90% recruitment success of down ballot candidates of all offices up for election in 2020. That's right now. That's what's happening right now. 90% recruitment success. Okay, come on. More doors knocked than ever before. In 2014, 2,468 doors were knocked on, and that sounds pretty good, doesn't it, Barry?
Sounds good, but you can do better.
And then in 2015, we took a blow, right? In 2016, we said, are you kidding me right now? Are you kidding me right now? And 11,623 people came out and knocked on doors in 2017. We were all very busy being drunk and sad, so the number went back down, right? But look at 2018, because we said more than you're kidding. We said, you've got to be kidding me. 31,457 people knocked on doors in 2018, and I can't even imagine what the number has been since then. So this is what you're doing. This is what you're doing, and you're changing the face of Kansas. You're changing the face of Johnson County, but more importantly, we are changing the face of America. So with that in mind, Barry, tell them a little bit about what the money will get for us if they just give us the money.
Yeah, I mean, we often don't think, well, where's this money go? Well,
where's it go?
Where's the real practical applications of that money? $25 for office supplies, business cards with a union bug on it, of course, $50. If you need an ALS interpreter at 2 events, it's $250. Monthly breakfast meetings, $200. I mean, things that you don't think about, but they're there. They need to be covered if we're going to maintain where we are and build upon what we've already done. I mean, a whole countywide mailer voter guide is $43,000. That just doesn't come out of the ether. It comes out of folks like ourselves, like you, who are dedicated to the things that we as Democrats stand for. And we need that standing up now more than ever. So we need anything you can do. If you want to write us a check for 43, that's cool. But
it's so cool.
So cool.
It's so cool.
Anything you can do will help. Right, Missy?
Okay, listen, you may not even think this is important because maybe you don't know, but $100, a $100 Facebook post on social media, right? A boost, okay? For any of us that are over 50, I didn't even know what that was. But a boost is, well, it's a boost. And it makes so much more money. You get so many more engagements. I'm learning about terms like engagements. You get so many more engagements, you get hits, and there is more activity around that. So that's more exposure for our candidates, for our party, for our state, for our nation, for our country. $100 for a social media Facebook boost can change the course of history, quite frankly. Signs for candidates, $50 to $75, and we all want a sign, right? Those signs don't come for free. They cost money, and we want those signs. We want them in our yard. We want to show our pride, right? $500, website enhancements, $650, an email newsletter for a year. But the thing that I think really, really matters, Barry, I mean, all of these things matter. Don't get me wrong. They all matter. But the office operations for our Johnson County headquarters at 76th and Antioch, where a lot of work is happening by a lot of really amazing people who don't get paid a dime, all right? It costs $2,000 a month to run that office. That's just the rent. It's just the lights on. It's just the heat, the air conditioning, $2,000. So if you've got that $2,000 and you care about those people that are helping to get your candidates elected, please, please push that donate now button. That donate now button is really our best friend right now. Just give us whatever you've got, $5, $10. That works too. I know.
We're up right now. We've got 60 people who just donated.
Come on.
So
all right.
We've got some more folks out there that we hope you can hit that donate button, as Missy said. This is our one shot reaching out to Johnson County Democrats to help Johnson County Democrats. This is our one shot every year that we make. All of us are giving to lots of different folks up and down the Democratic Party, everything from Biden, Harris, all the way down to the district attorney. We're doing it, all of them. But for the party-wide support, this is the one vehicle that we have to make sure that we're doing everything we can to help the team.
That's right. It's our team.
Yep.
It's our team, Barry. We're on this team together. I mean, you know, I don't know if it's fraud, but you know, I'm still a Kansas voter.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, what we're gonna do while you are contemplating what we've just mentioned to you, we're thinking about pushing that button, and we know you're going to push it.
Push that button.
We're going to go to the pride of Prairie Village, Kansas, Rockhurst High School, and the senator from the Commonwealth of Virginia, our friend Tim Kaine.
County Democrat Senator Tim Kaine here. The last time I was with you was in person in your Forever the Free State Gala in 2017. It was my honor to be your keynote speaker that night. And I could tell something was going on with you guys. The room was packed with people. The number of high quality candidates was large. The energy and excitement was palpable. And certainly your results in the last 3 years have demonstrated that what I felt that night was very real. Johnson County Democrats were key to electing a wonderful Democratic governor, key to electing Sharice Davids to the House of Representatives. And this year you're going to return Sharice Davids, and you're also going to elect a Democrat, Barbara Bollier, to be the first Kansas senator since the early Democratic senator since the early 1930s. You are leading the fight to make Kansas a more progressive place that is in tune with the free state ethos under which our state was founded. And I'm proud to do anything I can to help out. You know, my mom and dad still live in Overland Park in Johnson County, and my siblings live in the Kansas City area too with my nieces and nephews. I come out a couple times a year to visit, and I'm always so proud to be home. And I'm also so grateful to you. Many of you have kind of adopted my parents as like honorary Democrats, Johnson County Democrats, and they feel really, really welcomed by you all the time. So thank you for your kindness.
We're back.
We're back.
Senator Kaine makes us proud. But let me tell you what really makes us proud.
Oh, I thought we were going to toast.
Well, we'll do that in a bit, believe me. And if you have a glass of something at home and you want to, you can toast this. With tonight's fundraising portion of our gala, combined with everything else that folks have chipped in, we have over $72,000 in revenue. And tonight, from 63 people, we raised over $7,000 just this evening. So on behalf of myself, my dear friend Missy, and all Johnson County Democrats, thank you for what you've done this evening. You take care of yourself, wear your mask, social distancing, wash your hands, love one another, and work your asses off for the next 72 days. Let's win this thing in November.
Hey, don't drink bleach. And here comes our great friend, Governor Laura Kelly. to tell us some great things. A wonderful message from her. I'm glad to come to you from Indianapolis, Indiana. Thank you, Barry. Always great to host with you. Goodbye, Kansas.
Good evening. I want to thank the Johnson County Democrats for inviting me to be with you tonight and to join this great group of speakers, including our own Representative Sharice Davids and California Representative Adam Schiff. As you all know, the upcoming election results will be critically important for the people of Kansas. And it's not just the presidential ticket. Those we elect up and down the ballot will have an impact on our state for the next decade, including the electoral maps when we redistrict next year. We must elect qualified Democratic leaders in Johnson County and across Kansas who will work across the aisle to fight for the critical issues that keep our state on the road to prosperity. At a time like this, when our collective resolve is being tested daily, it's important to remember how Kansas came to be. Our state was born out of our country's greatest conflict, and our inception was predicated on the idea of freedom. The Free State moniker we so proudly bear came about as a result of the Kansas-Nebraska Act of 1854. That agreement gave our ancestors the autonomy to decide the values upon which our soon-to-be state would be founded. Our forefathers and mothers chose freedom, and they fought hard for it. Thus, our other nickname, Bleeding Kansas. But after the battles, we entered the Union as the 34th state, the Free State. We've made much progress since becoming a state in 1861, but we are still in pursuit of the systemic equity of which Lincoln spoke in the Gettysburg Address, a government of the people, by the people, for the people. While reflecting on our history, it's hard not to think about how this year will be viewed by generations to come. 2020 has been a confluence of flashpoint moments as we have confronted the worst public health crisis in a century. In just 6 months since the first COVID-19 death was reported in the United States, over 175,000 Americans have succumbed to the virus. To put that in perspective, the Civil War lasted 4 years, where 215,000 Americans died. In May, we watched in horror as George Floyd was murdered by a police officer who had taken an oath to protect and to serve. And we watched as the president refused to recognize the clear and present danger of the pandemic. He refused to marshal the collective resources of the federal government to save lives, to assist states, to reassure the people. It has been challenging, but those challenges have provided all of us with clarity about who our elected leaders are and what they stand for. Here in Kansas, it can seem like our party is at a disadvantage. As we all know, the Republican Party holds the supermajorities in the legislature, 5 of 6 seats in Congress, and all statewide elected positions except 1. But there is only one party who took this pandemic seriously from the start. There is only one party that has followed the guidance of public health experts. Our efforts to put Kansas on the right path, however, didn't begin with, nor will they end with COVID-19. Together, we fully funded our public schools. Together, we implemented an historic 10-year transportation and infrastructure plan, including millions to build out broadband. Together, we replenished our economic development toolbox, positioning ourselves to be competitive regionally, nationally, and globally. This month, I announced that Urban Outfitters will invest over $350 million and bring 2,000 new jobs to Kansas. Together, we have restored Kansas's reputation as a progressive, forward-thinking, no better place to live, work, and raise a family. This could not have happened without you. Now I need your help again. We need more Democrats in the legislature. Yes, we've made progress, but we've done it with razor-thin margins. In 2019, I vetoed a tax cut that would have returned our state to the fiasco of the Brownback-Collier years. We sustained that veto override by 2 votes. 2. In 2019, I also vetoed a bill that would have made it mandatory for doctors to lie to women about a dangerous pseudoscience pill claiming to reverse abortions. We sustained that veto override with one vote, just one. I can't say this enough. Every vote matters. The last few months have been a reminder of why we must elect more Democrats. In the midst of this public health crisis, Kansas Republican leadership has consistently put short-term political victories over their constituents' health, and Kansans have paid the price for it. Over 400 of our neighbors, our family members, our friends, dead from COVID-19. Another 36,000 infected, countless jobs lost, graduations canceled, lives upended. Republican leaders responded by peddling anti-science nonsense, downplaying the threat of the virus, and encouraging people to reject measures that slow the spread of the virus. We need real leaders who represent their districts, who fight for you, who set aside ideology and politics to do the right thing. This pandemic has made clear who is willing to step up and lead in a crisis and who is not. So let me leave you with this. Kansas Democrats are resilient. We have an unshakable commitment to public schools, public health, fiscal responsibility, equity, and justice for all. We are relentless, seeking solutions, reaching across the aisle, negotiating agreements, working to make the lives of Kansans better. We have proven that our message, our actions resonate with Kansans. Think back to when I ran for governor. State and national pundits didn't give me much chance of winning. Donald Trump had just won Kansas by more than 20 points. How could any Democrat win a statewide election after that? But when Election Day came, many of the same people who had cast their votes for Donald Trump in 2016 voted for me. I beat Chris Kobach by 5 points, a veritable landslide, particularly in a three-way race. In less than 3 months, we will cast our votes again and set the course for our state's future. After the August primary results, when again, as in 2012, so many moderates were defeated, it is even more imperative that Johnson County Democrats prevail at the polls. So much is at stake: redistricting, funding for our schools, our roads, healthcare, foster care, our social services safety net, equality for women, people of color, our LGBTQ community, tools to grow our economy, a fair and sustainable tax structure. We have to break the stranglehold of the supermajorities Republicans have in both the House and the Senate. And we have to re-elect Sharice Davids. Sharice has given the people of Johnson and Wyandotte counties a real representative in Congress, someone who listens and cares, understands and produces. And we need to make history again by sending the first female physician to the U.S. Senate, Barbara Bollier. I served with Barbara in the Kansas Senate. The U.S. Senate won't know what hit them when Barbara gets there. So Johnson County Democrats, keep your sleeves rolled up, keep the phones ringing, keep the lit drops dropping, keep the yard signs up, keep the contributions flowing. All of Kansas is counting on you to make the difference in November. You've done it before, you can do it again. Take good care. I'll see you in November.